At Thanksgiving, my sister shoved my 11-year-old daughter down the stairs, then she started recording while laughing. I can still hear the sound bones against wood, a scream that didn't sound like my child anymore, and the silence that followed before everyone pretended it wasn't real. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 34 and I spent 180 days in jail because I refused to let my family rewrite that night. They called me violent, unstable, dramatic. But what they never mention is what pushed me there the moment I saw my little girl bleeding while my sister filmed her tears like she was capturing content for her followers. I used to believe that family meant safety. I grew up in a house where appearances mattered more than truth, where my parents smiled for the neighbors while they tore us down behind closed doors. I learned early to survive with silence. My sister Savannah, the golden child, learned to thrive on cruelty. She always knew how to twist words until they became knives. She learned how to weaponize charm, how to turn pain into a performance. By the time she hit 31, she'd built a perfect online life. Family vlogs, curated dinners, fake kindness for a few 100,000 strangers. But I knew the person behind the camera, manipulative, jealous, cold. I tried to stay away, build my own quiet life with my daughter Lily after my divorce. For 2 years, it worked. Then Thanksgiving came. Mom insisted one night, Emily, your father wants peace. Peace. That word feels obscene now. That dinner became the last day I ever believed peace was possible in that family. I remember driving to my parents' house that evening, Lily humming along to carols, her small hands resting on her lap, telling me she couldn't wait to see Grandma's pumpkin pie. She had no idea what waited inside that house. I didn't either. I didn't know Savannah would be filming a perfect family reunion vlog. I didn't know my mother would side with her no matter what happened. I didn't know my daughter's laughter would turn into a scream that would replay in my dreams for months in a concrete cell. When people ask if I regret what I did, I always answer the same. I regret trusting them. I regret believing blood means love. But I don't regret defending my child, because that night when my family chose lies over truth, I finally understood something that had taken me 34 years to learn. Sometimes you have to burn the bridge you were born on to keep your child safe. This is not just a story about a family dinner gone wrong. It's about what happens when a woman who's been silenced her whole life finally decides to stop apologizing. What happened that night tore through my world, but it also showed me who I really am. A mother, a protector, and the kind of woman you don't push down the stairs. Before that night, life was simple, or at least I told myself it was. After the divorce, Lily and I moved into a modest townhouse outside Houston. It wasn't much, but it was ours. I worked as an interior designer, freelancing for small companies, and sometimes taking on late-night projects after Lily fell asleep. I'd put on some music sketch until my eyes blurred and pretend that peace meant safety. Lily was the center of my world. 11 years old, smart, gentle, and endlessly curious. She loved painting, and the walls of our little living room were covered with her drawings, some crooked, some bright with too many colors, all beautiful in their imperfection. Every morning before school, she'd leave a sticky note on my coffee mug with a doodle and a heart. After the mess of my marriage, those small gestures were what kept me going. My ex-husband Daniel wasn't a bad man, just a weak one. He couldn't handle my family, their constant criticism, the emotional chess games. When he left, he said, "Your mother's voice lives in my head more than yours." I didn't argue. I just packed his things, kissed Lily, and started over. My parents, Brenda and Charles, lived in a world built on appearances. They weren't cruel in the way strangers are cruel. They were cruel in the way that makes you doubt yourself. Every compliment came with a knife hidden underneath. "You look lovely, Emily. It's nice that you're finally losing the divorce weight." Or, "You're so strong, dear. Not everyone can raise a child alone. Some people just aren't meant to be wives." My sister Savannah, on the other hand, could do no wrong. She was 3 years younger, all sunshine and filters. Her Instagram bio read, "Wife, mother believer, entrepreneur," and every Sunday she posted pictures of her perfect family in coordinated outfits outside a church she barely attended. My parents worshipped her like she was living proof they'd succeeded as parents. Every time we were together, I felt like I was shrinking, invisible in my own bloodline. When Savannah needed money for her wellness brand, my parents wired her 20 grand. When I asked for help paying Lily's therapy bills after the divorce, they said, "You need to learn to stand on your own 2 feet." It was always like that. Savannah's mistakes were lessons, mine were disappointments. I tried to protect Lily from it, but kids see more than we realize. Once after a visit to my parents, she asked Mom, "Why does Grandma talk to Aunt Savannah like she's a queen, and you like you're a helper?" I laughed it off, said, "Adults can be weird," but her question stayed with me. I told myself I'd never let Lily feel small the way I did growing up. I didn't know that promise would be tested in the worst way possible, because soon that family I'd been taught to respect would show me exactly how far they'd go to protect their golden child, even if it meant breaking mine. My family was a masterpiece of dysfunction, polished enough to look respectable from the outside, but rotten under the gloss. Brenda, my mother, ruled the household with a smile sharp enough to cut glass. She called it tough love, but it was really control wrapped in politeness. My father Charles retired early from his insurance job and treated everyone like a client, calculating risk, deciding who was worth his time. Their love came in conditions, their approval in limited supply. Growing up, I learned that affection was something you earned, not something you were given. Savannah learned the opposite. She could break anything, hurt anyone, and still be forgiven. "She's just passionate," Mom would say when Savannah screamed at me. She means well. When I tried to defend myself, Mom would sigh. "Stop being dramatic, Emily. You always exaggerate." That phrase, "stop being dramatic," became the soundtrack of my childhood. By the time I turned 16, I'd stopped arguing altogether. Silence was easier. Savannah, 3 years younger but miles louder, turned her cruelty into an art form. She'd whisper things she knew would wound. "You're adopted. They only keep you because I told them to." Or, "No one wants to hear you talk." When we were adults, her tactics evolved. It wasn't open bullying anymore, it was psychological warfare. If I bought a new dress, she'd post a photo in the same one, tagging me with a wink emoji. When I got a promotion, she'd accidentally announce her husband's new 6-figure raise the same day. She thrived on comparison, fed by my mother's approval and my father's indifference. By 2023, Savannah had turned her obsession with perfection into profit. Her YouTube channel, Savvy Home, was a parade of perfect dinners and choreographed family moments. The captions always read, "Grateful for my blessings," but I knew what those blessings cost. Her husband, Evan, was quiet, hollowed out by years of walking on eggshells. Their 6-year-old son, Caleb, already mimicked his mother's tone suite on camera, cruel off it. Once at a family barbecue, Caleb spilled juice and blamed Lily even though she was across the yard. Savannah laughed. "Kids learn from the best," she said, kissing his head. That was the moment I realized how generational poison spreads. I started keeping my distance, declining invitations, making excuses. Mom called it selfishness. "Family needs you, Emily." But family wasn't supposed to drain the life out of you. Still, when Thanksgiving came, guilt won. Mom said, "Your father's not feeling well. He just wants everyone together again." I told myself I could handle one evening. I convinced myself Savannah had grown up. I wanted Lily to know her grandparents, to have a family bigger than the two of us. I didn't know that behind Savannah's perfect smile, she'd already planned how to turn that dinner into content and how to humiliate me in front of everyone watching. I didn't know that her camera would catch everything except the part where she fell. The invitation came 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. Mom called while I was at work, her voice syrupy sweet, the tone she used whenever she was about to corner me into something. "Emily, your father wants a proper family dinner this year. No excuses. We'll all be together like old times." I could hear the subtext behave, "Forgive, play your part." I hesitated, staring at the design board in front of me. The last time I'd been in that house, Savannah had thrown a tantrum because Lily got more attention than her son. She'd stormed off and posted a story about toxic relatives who don't understand gratitude. I had sworn never to go back. "Mom, I don't think that's a good idea," I said carefully. "Savannah and I aren't exactly—" "Oh, for heaven's sake," she cut me off. "You're adults. She's moved on, Emily. Don't start drama before the holidays." I felt the familiar tug of guilt that learned obedience that still lived under my skin. "Fine," I said finally, my voice quieter than I wanted. "We'll come." Good, she said, her tone bright again. Savannah's already planning the menu. She'll bring her camera, of course. Her followers love our family traditions. My stomach dropped. She's filming Thanksgiving. It's just for her channel. Nothing serious. Don't overreact. That night, I told Kelly, my best friend since college, about it over coffee. Kelly worked for the Houston Police Department, sharp-minded and blunt, the kind of friend who never sugarcoated anything. "You're going back there?" she asked, eyebrows raised. "After what that woman did to you last Christmas." "It's one night," I said, though I didn't believe it. "Lily misses them. Savannah's the type who sets traps with a smile," Kelly warned. "Don't give her a reason." "I won't," I promised. But my chest felt tight, like my body already knew something my mind refused to see. The week before Thanksgiving, Savannah texted me directly for the first time in months. "Hey sis, can't wait to see you and Lily. Where's something festive gonna be a perfect family shot?" Perfect, that word again. Every message from her dripped with sugar that smelled like poison. On Thanksgiving morning, Lily was bubbling with excitement, her small hands carefully wrapping the pumpkin cookies we baked together. "Grandma's going to love these," she said, her braids swinging as she moved. I smiled, forcing the fear down. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe people could change. Maybe forgiveness was stronger than resentment. I dressed Lily in a blue sweater, packed the cookies, and drove to the house I'd spent years escaping from. The closer we got, the heavier the air felt. When the house came into view, big, beige, perfect Lily gasped. "It's like a castle, Mom." I smiled faintly. "Yeah, honey, but remember, castles have dungeons too." I didn't know how right I was. That dinner wasn't going to bring us together. It was going to expose everything we'd buried. We arrived at my parents' house just after 4. The neighborhood was lined with cars and glittering lights, the kind of perfect suburban illusion that looked wholesome from the outside but hid something sharp underneath. The Carter home was enormous white pillars, expensive wreaths, the smell of roasted turkey floating through the air. Lily clutched her cookie tray like a shield as we walked up the front steps. "Smile, sweetheart," I said softly. Grandma loves smiles. The door opened before I could knock. Mom stood there, pearls around her neck, her lips painted into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Emily, you made it. And Lily, you look adorable." "Savannah's already here." My stomach tightened. Inside, the house buzzed with chatter and laughter. My father's golf buddies were gathered near the fireplace, bourbon in hand. Relatives I hadn't seen in years floated around, balancing plates and pretending they liked each other. Then I saw her. Savannah stood in the living room, camera in hand, talking to it like a talk show host. "Hey guys, welcome back to Savvy Home. We're doing our Thanksgiving tradition, family love and gratitude." She turned, saw me, and her face froze for a second before the smile returned. "Oh my gosh, look who's here! My sister Emily." The camera panned toward me, and instinctively I stiffened. Lily waved shyly. Savannah lowered her voice, just enough for only me to hear. "Try not to ruin this one, okay?" I ignored her, focusing on Lily, who was already being pulled toward the dessert table by Caleb, Savannah's son. My mother gestured at the dining area. "Sit anywhere, dear. I saved a spot near me." I caught Nathan's eyes across the room. My cousin, the only sane person in this madhouse. He mouthed, "You okay?" I nodded, though the truth was, I wasn't. Everything about the atmosphere felt staged, like we were extras in Savannah's performance. Even the decorations screamed perfection: gold, table runners, calligraphy, place cards, everything camera ready. As dinner began, Savannah kept filming. Every toast, every joke, every compliment she directed toward herself. "I'm just so thankful for my amazing family," she said sweetly, raising her glass. My mother teared up on cue. I sat in silence, trying not to ruin the illusion. Lily whispered, "Mom, why is Aunt Savannah recording everything?" I squeezed her hand. "Because some people need proof they're happy." Hours dragged by. I tried to blend into the background, laughing when expected, pretending the tension wasn't wrapping tighter around my throat. But the whole night felt like walking on glass. Savannah's smile was too wide, her compliments too rehearsed. And every time her camera turned toward me, her eyes glimmered with something venomous. When Lily asked to use the upstairs bathroom, Savannah's head snapped up. "Oh, I'll show her the way," she said sweetly, grabbing her phone again. My gut twisted. Something about her tone made the hair on my neck rise. I should have stopped her. I should have followed them. Instead, I sat there smiling for the camera, pretending everything was fine, seconds before everything shattered. It happened so fast, I didn't even have time to process the sound before I saw the fall. One moment, I was listening to my father retell the same story about his golf league, and the next, a sharp thud cracked through the laughter. It was the kind of sound that cuts through everything wood against bone breath against silence. The entire room went still. Then I saw her. Lily, my 11-year-old, crumpled at the bottom of the stairs. Her blue sweater twisted her small hands, trembling as she tried to push herself up. Blood ran from her lip, and her eyes darted around the room, wide with panic, searching for me. My body moved before my mind caught up. Lily. My chair slammed back, and I ran, the sound of my heartbeat drowning out the gasps behind me. I dropped to my knees beside her, scanning her arms, her legs. Her wrist was bent at a wrong angle. "Sweetheart, talk to me." "What happened?" Her breath hitched, tears streaming down her face. She leaned closer, whispering, voice shaking. "Mom." Aunt Savannah pushed me. The words landed like glass in my chest. I froze, staring up the stairs. And there she was, Savannah standing halfway down, phone in her hand, her expression flickering between panic and something worse, satisfaction. For 2 seconds, I saw the real her before she put the mask back on. "Oh my God, Lily! Are you okay?" she cried, rushing the rest of the way down. "I told you not to run on the stairs." I could hear her voice tremble just enough to sound convincing for the crowd now gathering behind us. People began murmuring, neighbors, cousins, my parents. My father stepped forward, frowning. "What happened?" "She fell," Savannah said quickly. "I tried to grab her, but she was going too fast." "That's not true," Lily whimpered, clutching her wrist. "You pushed me," Savannah gasped, hand over her heart camera still in her other hand. "She's in shock. She doesn't know what she's saying." My mother knelt beside me, placing a hand on Lily's shoulder. "Sweetheart, maybe you tripped. It happens. Don't blame your aunt." My mouth went dry. "Mom, stop." I looked up, my voice shaking. "You weren't there." She said Savannah pushed her. My mother's tone sharpened, cold and cutting. "Emily, you always look for someone to blame. Don't start this now." I could feel the room watching me, their eyes filled with judgment, not concern. And then I heard it, the faint, mechanical click of a camera. Savannah lifted her phone recording. "Look at this," she said, voice syrupy sweet. "Poor Lily fell, and now her mom's attacking everyone. Classic Emily drama." My rage flared so fast it scared me. I stood up, grabbed the phone from her hand, and ended the recording. "Delete it," I said through my teeth. "You're sick." She lunged for it. "Give me my phone." "You think this is content," I shouted, and the whole room gasped. "You hurt my child, and now you want views." Savannah's smirk returned calm and poisonous. "Prove it." That was when I realized she knew exactly what she'd done, and she thought no one would ever believe me. The room filled with noise voices overlapping, questions, excuses. But underneath it all, I heard the one sound that broke me, Lily's quiet sobbing. My mother straightened, adjusting her pearl necklace like she was on stage. "Everyone calm down," she said sharply. Her tone, the same one she used when I was a child, caught crying too loud. "We're not making a scene over a little fall." "A little fall," I snapped. "She's hurt. Her wrist could be broken." Savannah folded her arms, her tone smug now that she had an audience. "You're overreacting again, Emily. You always do this, always turning accidents into drama." "It wasn't an accident." I pointed toward the stairs, voice trembling. "Lily said you pushed her." "You! Emily!" My father interrupted, his voice booming enough to silence me. "Not in front of everyone." "In front of everyone is exactly where this needs to happen," I shouted, tears stinging my eyes. "She shoved my child." Savannah laughed, the sound brittle and cruel. "You're insane." She tripped. "You're trying to make me look bad because you're jealous. You always have been." Her words sliced through me, but what came next cut deeper. My mother nodded, siding with her. "Savannah would never hurt Lily." She's a good mother, a good person. And what am I? I asked, shaking. A liar. Again. Stop, she hissed, her eyes darting toward the neighbors. You're embarrassing yourself. Behind me, I felt movement. Nathan stepping closer, pulling his phone discreetly from his pocket. His eyes met mine for a second, calm but serious. Keep talking, they seemed to say. I realized then that he was recording. Savannah crouched beside Lily, her voice turning syrupy again. Sweetheart, tell them you were just playing, okay? You didn't mean to scare everyone. Lily flinched and looked to me confused and terrified. I wanted to scream to pull her away to destroy the lie taking shape before my eyes. Don't touch her, I said, my voice cracking. Mom, do something. But my mother only sighed, glancing at her guests. Emily, you're upsetting everyone. This isn't about you. I felt dizzy, the room spinning. My father muttered something about calling it a night. Savannah looked victorious, adjusting her hair, her phone once again in her hand. She smiled toward her camera. Well, that was dramatic, she said almost under her breath, but loud enough for me to hear. Family right. Laughter followed. Real laughter. People who had known me my whole life chuckled at her words at my pain. Lily buried her face in my lap, whispering, Mom, why are they laughing? I didn't have an answer. I looked around that room full of people I once called family and saw strangers smiling complicit indifferent. And in that moment, something inside me hardened. I realized the truth I'd been avoiding for years. My family didn't want peace. They wanted control. They didn't love me. They loved the version of me that stayed silent. And that version was gone. Something inside me snapped. The laughter around us blurred into static, my mother's disapproving stare. Savannah's smirk, my father's silence. It all collapsed into one sharp, unbearable moment. I stood, clutching Savannah's phone, shaking with fury. Delete it, I said, my voice low but trembling. Now. She raised her chin. You don't tell me what to do. She lunged again, and I shoved her hand away. You're assaulting me, she screamed, turning to the crowd. Somebody stop her. My father stepped forward, his face red. Emily, enough. You're humiliating us. Humiliating you? I shouted. She hurt my daughter. Lily whimpered beside me, trying to stand. Her wrist hung at an angle, tears streaming down her small, terrified face. Mom, it hurts. I bent my hands, shaking as I tried to comfort her. I know, baby. I know. We're leaving. But Savannah wasn't done. She lifted her camera again, pointing it toward us. Look at this. My niece is fine, and Emily's losing her mind. The mocking tone broke the last thread of restraint I had left. You think this is a joke? I crossed the room in 2 strides. Savannah tried to back away, but I grabbed her arm. You think I won't? Emily? My mother screamed, but I didn't hear her. My voice came out low and deadly. If you ever touch my daughter again, I swear to God I'll make you wish you hadn't. Savannah's eyes widened. You're crazy. No, I said, shoving the phone into her chest. I'm done. I pushed her back harder than I intended. She stumbled into the dining chair, knocking over a glass. The crash silenced the room. Everyone froze. My father's face twisted with rage. Get out! Get out of my house right now! Gladly I spat, scooping Lily into my arms. Savannah clutched her elbow, dramatically wailing. She attacked me! You all saw it! You attacked my daughter first! I screamed back, voice breaking. You pushed her down those stairs and you laughed! No one said a word. Not a single person came to my defense. The room felt thick with cowardice, the kind that hides behind etiquette and pretends it's morality. Nathan stood near the doorway, phone still raised, eyes locked on Savannah. You might want to stop talking, he said quietly. Savannah froze for a split second, like she'd just realized something had shifted. My mother hissed, Nathan, don't you dare! But he didn't lower his phone. I took one last look at them, all my family, the people who had taught me to stay small. You all deserve her, I said, voice steady now. Every last one of you. Then I turned and walked out, carrying Lily into the cold November air. Behind me, I heard my mother shouting my name, my father calling for someone to shut that camera off, and Savannah crying fake tears. But all I could hear was my daughter's whisper against my neck. "Mom, you believe me, right?" I tightened my arms around her. "Always." By the time I reached the car, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely unlock the door. Lily whimpered as I helped her into the back seat, cradling her injured wrist. "It's okay, sweetheart," I whispered, forcing calm into my voice even as my chest burned with panic. "We're going to the hospital." I started the engine and pulled away from the house, heart pounding. Behind us, the golden lights of my parents' perfect home glowed through the fog, soft and poisonous. I made it 3 blocks before the flashing red and blue lights appeared in the rearview mirror. For a second, I didn't understand. Then, reality hit. Savannah had called the police. I pulled over. 2 officers approached their flashlights, cutting through the mist. "Ma'am, step out of the vehicle," one of them said. His tone was polite, but cold, the kind of voice trained for compliance. I swallowed. "Officer, my daughter's hurt. She needs a hospital." "We'll handle that," he interrupted, gesturing for me to step aside. Lily started crying. "Mom, don't go. It's okay, baby," I said again, even though nothing was okay. They separated us. One officer stayed by the car with Lily radioing for paramedics. The other took my statement. "Your sister Savannah Moore reported you assaulted her in front of multiple witnesses. She has video evidence." My stomach turned. "Video evidence," I whispered. "She recorded me defending my child." "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to turn around." The handcuffs clicked around my wrists, cold final. I heard Lily scream from the car. "Don't take my mom." The officer's voice softened, almost regretful. "We'll get her checked out, ma'am. She'll be safe." But I didn't trust them. I didn't trust anyone anymore. They put me in the back of the cruiser. Through the window, I saw the paramedics lift Lily onto a stretcher, her small face pale and streaked with tears. Savannah stood on the sidewalk outside the house, wrapped in a blanket, crying into her husband's shoulder, while the camera crew from her vlog filmed from the doorway. I could see her whispering to my mother, shaking her head like she was the victim. Rage pulsed through me, hot and bitter. When we reached the station, they booked me like any other criminal. Mugshot, fingerprints, property check. A female officer asked if I understood the charges, assault and battery. I nodded numbly. In the holding cell, the walls smelled like bleach and despair. My reflection in the metal bench didn't look like me eyes, hollow mouth set in a line of disbelief. I kept replaying the moment in my head, the push, the laughter, the phone recording. How could they all have seen it and done nothing? Hours later, a detective came in, a tired-looking man with kind eyes. "Emily Carter," he said. "You have 1 phone call. I didn't call my parents. I didn't call Savannah. I called Kelly." When she picked up, I didn't even have to explain. Her voice was sharp and steady. "I'm coming. And Emily, don't say another word until I get there." That was the first time since the fall that I let myself breathe. The first night in the holding cell felt endless. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, too bright to let me sleep, too harsh to let me cry. Every sound echoed the scrape of shoes, the clang of metal doors, the hollow voices of other women down the corridor. I kept hearing Lily's scream looping over and over until it blurred with the hum of the lights. Morning came with paperwork and questions. They processed me like a machine part height-weight medical check property stored in a plastic bag labeled Carter Emily. Then they led me to a narrow room with a metal table where Kelly was waiting still in her police uniform. She looked furious. "I saw the report," she said without sitting down. "Savannah claimed you shoved her into a table and that she has witnesses and footage." I swallowed hard. She pushed Lily. "There were witnesses too. My cousin Nathan recorded everything." Kelly nodded slowly, eyes calculating. "Then we're going to find that video." "You believe me?" The words cracked in my throat. "Of course I do," she said. "But right now, we need to be smart. They're charging you with assault. Bail hearings tomorrow. Don't talk to anyone else. Not the guards, not the detectives, not your family. Promise me." I nodded. When she left, I was alone again with the walls. Hours passed. They brought food. I couldn't eat water I didn't taste. I tried to pray, but my thoughts wouldn't settle. All I could think about was Lily. Was she safe? Did she sleep? Did she think I'd abandoned her? I pressed my palms against my eyes until the burning stopped. That night, the cell door clanged open and a new inmate was brought in, a woman in her 50s with tired eyes and a tattoo of a rose on her wrist. She nodded at me. "First time?" "Yeah," I whispered. "You'll get used to the noise," she said. "You got kids?" "A daughter," I murmured. "She's 11. Then keep your head straight. That's what'll get you through." I didn't sleep much, but something about her words stuck with me. Morning came again, gray and sterile. They cuffed me for transport to county. The ride was silent except for the low crackle of the radio. The driver didn't look at me once. When we arrived, they assigned me to a temporary cell, small cold concrete. On the wall, someone had scratched the words, "Truth survives lies." I traced them with my finger until my hands stopped shaking. In the days that followed, time lost meaning. I learned the rhythm of confinement, the morning count the metal trays, the endless hum of lives paused. Kelly came twice each time with updates I barely dared to hope for. "Nathan's got something," she whispered through the glass. A clip from his phone. "He says it shows more than Savannah wants anyone to see." My heart kicked hard against my ribs. For the first time since that night, I felt a flicker of something I hadn't felt in days, hope. A week later, I was sitting in the visitation room when Kelly came back, her expression different this time, controlled but alive with urgency. She slid a file across the table and leaned forward. "We got it," she said quietly. My pulse spiked. "Got what Nathan's video," she said. "He filmed part of the night for his mom, remember? He had his phone running the whole time from the corner near the dining room. He didn't even realize what he'd caught until he replayed it." "Emily," her eyes softened. "It's bad for Savannah. I couldn't breathe for a second. Show me." Kelly hesitated. "Technically, I shouldn't, but you deserve to see it." She turned her phone toward me. The clip was shaky but clear. You could see the staircase, Lily walking carefully down, one hand brushing the rail. Savannah followed behind her phone, raised a smirk, tugging at her mouth. When Lily reached the middle step, Savannah reached out 2 quick, deliberate pushes, and Lily fell forward with a cry. The phone jostled, but the sound was unmistakable. Savannah's laugh sharp and cruel before she gasped and pretended to panic. The video ended there. My whole body went cold. Kelly's voice was steady but tight. "We're submitting this to the DA. It changes everything." I didn't speak. I couldn't. The room tilted, memories flooding, the disbelief in everyone's eyes, my mother's dismissal. Savannah's smirk when the police took me away. She knew, I whispered. She knew I wouldn't be believed. Kelly nodded. That's what narcissists count on. But now, she's done. Over the next 48 hours, everything moved fast. The DA's office reopened my case. Savannah was called in for questioning. My lawyer, assigned but surprisingly fierce, filed for immediate review and bail reduction. Nathan came to visit me that weekend. He looked exhausted, guilt etched into every line of his face. "I should have said something sooner," he said, sitting across the table. "I didn't know what she did until I looked through the footage. I just thought maybe you were both angry." I reached for his hand through the glass, even though I couldn't touch him. "You did what no one else did, Nate. You told the truth." He nodded, eyes red. "Kelly said you might be out soon. They're pressing charges against Savannah for injury to a child." The words felt unreal. I'd imagined justice so many times that it didn't feel possible it was actually happening. But when the guard opened my cell door 2 days later and said, "Carter, you're being released, charges pending review," my knees almost gave out. The October air hit me like freedom itself. Kelly was waiting outside, arms crossed, her smile small but proud. "Told you truth survives lies," she said. I looked up at the gray Texas sky, the world wider and harsher than I remembered. Savannah was finally exposed. The empire she built on filters and fake kindness was about to crumble, and I didn't even have to lift a finger. Justice, when it comes late, cuts deeper. The trial began 3 months later in Harris County Criminal Court. I had spent those months rebuilding small pieces of my life, staying quiet, staying patient, while the system turned its gears. Savannah was indicted on felony charges, injury to a child, obstruction of justice, and perjury. She pled not guilty, of course. Her lawyers painted her as a misunderstood mother, a content creator unfairly vilified by social media. But this time, the narrative wasn't hers to control. The courthouse was cold, sterile, humming with whispers. Reporters lingered outside. Savannah arrived in a cream suit, her hair styled, her makeup soft, still performing for cameras. I sat at the prosecution's table with my attorney hands clasped so tightly I left half moons in my palms. When the judge entered, the air seemed to change. Case number 48206, State of Texas versus Savannah Moore. The prosecution opened with Nathan's video. No preamble, no explanation. Just the raw, unedited footage projected on a massive screen. You could have heard a pin drop. The room watched as Savannah reached out and shoved Lily. Watched as my daughter fell as Savannah's face twisted into a laugh. Then came the silence and the fake concern. The entire illusion shattered in real time. My mother covered her mouth, eyes wide. My father sank lower in his seat, Savannah's face drained of color. The judge's gavel hit once. "Play it again," she ordered. The second time, no one looked away. The prosecution rested early that day. The defense tried to spin it, said Savannah's actions were reflexive, that she'd reached out to catch Lily, not push her. But when the prosecutor cross-examined her, the truth cracked through. "Mrs. Moore," he said, voice calm, "you were filming for your social media channel during this incident, correct?" "Yes," she said softly. "And you didn't stop recording even after the child was injured?" I panicked. "You laughed." She didn't answer. "You accused your sister of being dramatic, didn't you?" You told the police Emily attacked you knowing she hadn't." "I was scared," Savannah said, tears forming. "Scared of what the prosecutor pressed, that she'd tell the truth." The defense tried to redirect, but it was useless. The jury's faces said everything. Then came the twist that even I didn't expect. When asked why she pushed Lily, Savannah broke. Her voice changed, flat, robotic. "Because Emily ruined my life," she said. "She wouldn't help us buy the house. She made me look weak in front of Mom and Dad. I just wanted her to feel small for once." A gasp swept through the courtroom. The judge's expression hardened. "So you took that out on her child?" Savannah's eyes went blank. "I didn't mean for her to fall that hard." The judge leaned forward. "You injured a child to satisfy your ego, Mrs. Moore. That's not a mistake. That's cruelty." 2 weeks later, the verdict came guilty on all counts. 3 years in state prison plus a 5-year restraining order from me and Lily. The moment the sentence was read, Savannah looked at me, no tears, just that hollow stare. For once, I didn't look away. The night after the verdict, I sat in my apartment staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. The sound of the gavel still echoed in my head, the judge's final words replaying like a heartbeat. Savannah was gone. 3 years in a women's correctional facility. The golden child, the family's pride, reduced to a headline. But justice didn't feel like triumph, it felt like exhale, the kind that burns a little on its way out. For the first time in months, the air around me felt still. Kelly stopped by with takeout and a quiet grin. "She's officially in processing," she said. "Won't be seeing the outside for a long while." I nodded, the weight of it sinking in. "How's Lily stronger than both of us?" I said, glancing toward the bedroom where my daughter was sleeping. She'd testified in court softly but bravely, recounting the fall. Afterward, the judge had praised her for her courage. Lily had smiled shyly, then cried the whole ride home. Therapy helped slowly. She still flinched at loud noises, still tensed near stairs, but she was healing. The nightmares came less often. She was learning that fear didn't define her. So was I. My parents didn't speak to me for weeks after the trial. They'd sat on the opposite side of the courtroom, silent as statues. When Savannah confessed her motive, I saw something crack in them, shock, shame, maybe both. A month later, a letter arrived. My mother's handwriting. Inside, "We didn't understand. We see now. We failed you. We're sorry." I read it once, then tucked it into a drawer. Forgiveness wasn't impossible, but it wasn't owed. Some wounds need distance more than closure. I started freelancing again, pouring my anger into work. The designs came out bolder, more unapologetic. People noticed. Clients doubled. I named my new business Lily House after the home I wanted to build for my daughter, one filled with warmth instead of fear. Kelly called it poetic justice. I called it survival. Nathan visited too, carrying a small box. "Something you should have," he said, placing it on the table. Inside was a USB drive. "The video," he explained. "I made sure it's sealed in evidence, but this copy, this is yours." I stared at it for a long time, then closed the lid. "Thank you," I said quietly. He hesitated. "I'm sorry I didn't protect you sooner." "You did," I replied. "You told the truth. That's more than most people ever do." Life moved forward in uneven steps. Some days I felt peace. Others, I still heard the thud on the stairs. Healing isn't linear, it's layers. But each layer brought me closer to strength, to calm. And when I looked at Lily drawing by the window, humming softly under the Texas sun, I finally understood what justice really meant. It wasn't about revenge, it was about safety, about reclaiming the silence that used to hurt and turning it into peace. A year passed before I heard Savannah's voice again. It came on a rainy afternoon when I was sketching designs in my studio and Lily was at school. My phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Normally I'd ignore it, but something told me to answer. "Emily," the voice said softly. I froze. "How did you get this number?" There was a pause. "Mom gave it to me," Savannah admitted. "I just needed to hear your voice." Her tone was smaller than I remembered, fragile, almost human. "Why?" I asked flatly. "I wanted to apologize," she said. "My therapist said it's part of healing to face the people I hurt." "You didn't just hurt me," I said. "You hurt my child." "I know," she whispered. "I think about it every day." For a moment, neither of us spoke. The rain against the window filled the silence. "Savannah." "What do you want?" I finally asked. "I'm getting out soon," she said. "Parole hearing's in a few weeks. They said it would help if I had a statement from you. Something saying you forgive me." I laughed bitter and sharp. "You want me to write that you're safe?" "After what you did." "Emily, please," she said, her voice cracking. "I've lost everything. Evan divorced me. Caleb barely knows me. Mom and Dad won't talk to me. I'm trying to start over." "Start over somewhere else," I said coldly. "You made your choices." She started crying, real or not, I couldn't tell. "You don't understand what it's like in here. I can't sleep. I hear that sound of the stairs her scream every night." "Good," I said. "Maybe now you know what we lived with." There was a long silence before she whispered, "I'm begging you. One letter could change my life." "It already did," I said. "You changed mine too, and Lily's. We'll never be the same." "So that's it. You'll never forgive me." "Forgiveness is for people who are sorry, Savannah. You're just scared." My voice was steady, even gentle. "And I don't owe you peace," she sniffled. "You're cruel." "No," I said. "I just finally learned from you." Her tone shifted, snapping like glass. "You think you're better than me, don't you?" "No," I said, calm as the rain outside. "I think I survived you." She went quiet for a long time, and I could almost feel the weight of it on the line. "This isn't over," she said finally, her voice trembling. "It is for me," I replied, and hung up. I stood there for a moment, the silence heavy but clean. I expected guilt, regret, maybe sadness, but all I felt was release. For the first time in years, I wasn't afraid of her voice. I wasn't afraid of any of them. Savannah could keep her apologies, her manipulation, her empty therapy words. I didn't need closure from the person who caused the wound. I already had it from the strength it took not to answer again. It's been 2 years since that call, and sometimes I still wake in the middle of the night thinking I hear footsteps on the stairs. But when I open my eyes, the only sound is Lily's soft breathing from the next room. That's when I know we're safe. That's when I remember everything we survived to get here. Life isn't perfect, but it's honest now. I don't have to pretend anymore. The holidays are quiet, just me, Lily, and a few close friends. No cameras, no staged smiles, no one walking on eggshells. We bake cookies, we laugh too loud, and we leave the dishes until morning. There's peace in the mess, in the imperfection. My parents send gifts for Lily sometimes, books, clothes, apology letters disguised as cards. We see each other occasionally polite but distant. They've aged a decade in 2 years maybe from guilt, Maybe from finally seeing Savannah for who she really was. They never talk about her now. I think that's their way of mourning the daughter they created and lost. Lily is 13 now, growing taller, stronger, sharper. She still asks questions sometimes. Mom, why did Aunt Savannah hate us so much? I tell her the truth. Because some people confuse love with control. They want to be adored, not understood. Lily nods, older than her years. I'm glad we're different, she says. I smile every time. Because she's right. We are. I still work under the name Lily House. Business is good. We design homes that feel safe, real homes for real people. Every wall I paint, every room I restore feels like rebuilding a piece of myself. I used to design for perfection. Now I design for peace. There's a difference. I haven't heard from Savannah again. The parole board denied her early release. The judge said her pattern of manipulation remained unresolved. Evan has custody of their son now. I saw him once in the grocery store. He looked older, quieter, holding Caleb's hand. We didn't speak, but he gave me a nod that said everything an apology, a thank you. Maybe both. People sometimes ask if I regret what happened, if I'd take back the moment I fought for Lily. My answer never changes. No. I'd endure every sleepless night, every headline, every accusation again if it meant protecting her. Because the truth is, that night didn't destroy me, it freed me. It taught me that silence is not peace, and endurance is not love. It taught me that justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and shaped like a woman who refuses to look away. As I stand by the window now, the late autumn sun spilling across our small living room, Lily runs in her laughter, echoing up the stairs that used to terrify her. Come on, Mom, we're going to be late, she says, grabbing her backpack. I follow, locking the door behind us. The air smells like rain and cinnamon, like life beginning again. I turn to the camera for the last time, not for Savannah, but for anyone who's ever been gaslighted, silenced, or told they were overreacting. If you've ever had to stand alone against the people who should have protected you, know this. You're not alone. You're stronger than they remember, louder than their silence, and braver than their lies. So if you made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell me what would you have done if it was your child at the bottom of those stairs.